everyone, my name is Clay and welcome to Terminally Nerdy, and today we're going to delve into the importance of a character's backstory. This can apply to a player character or a non-player character, aka something the GM needs to use or the players need to use. So, character backstory is something that a lot of people seem to have a problem with, and I've got two basic rules, one of which was reminded to me because of Twitter, so thank you guys on Twitter, that apply to really building a character's backstory. So first and foremost, a character's backstory is the character's history up to the point where the game is going to start, roughly. This is who they are, where they came from, what they did, and how they got to the point they're in. Now, you can take that in a lot of different ways, but what it boils down to is when you're talking about your character's backstory, you want to try to answer who, what, where, when, why, and how. The reason you want to answer these questions is to kind of build a personality profile and a historical profile. Now, when you're doing this, a lot of people tend to get carried away. There are horror stories, and I've seen them, of people, writing novels, writing big old thick, ridiculous novels about their character. They define everything. They define the town, the people in the town that they were born in, who their parents are, who their extended family are, mentors, friends, relatives, etc. They basically lay it out in as much detail as they can, and in my opinion, that is the worst thing you can do. Because if you build your entire back history, you fill in this huge square from where you came, or like, let's assume it's like kind of like a triangle, we fill this whole thing in, we leave nothing left to kind of come up on the fly, you kind of get stuck in a rut. So my first tip when building a backstory is to leave blanks. Don't define everything up front. Things you want to define. You want to define, where you started. Was it a small village, a city? Don't even need to name it, just kind of a rough idea. Are your parents alive? Or were you an orphan? Kind of from there. You want to define how you got started in whatever profession you're in. If you're a vampire hunter, how did you become a vampire hunter? If you are a vampire, how did you become a vampire? If you're a fighter, how did you become a fighter? You want to define that. You want to define one or two key moments in your character's previous life before they became an adventurer. A good example is my newest character is a Yuan-Ti druid. So for her, all I've defined is where she was born, which was the Chult. How she became a druid. She ran away from home and ran into a traveling druid. He trained her. In D&D 5e, you have these little things that kind of define your character's background. Well, I rolled soldier, so why was she a soldier? Oh, she ended up in Silvery Moon and joined their home guard. I wrote about 3 paragraphs, and that was it. But in those 3 paragraphs, I have where she came from, the village, a mentor figure, how she got her background as a soldier, how she got her druidic training, and eventually I got to the point where she had a horrible mishap, which was part of the background roles that we did, that she wanted to keep secret, and then she left the military after that to become an adventurer because she felt horrible and kind of wanted to atone for what she did. But I didn't need, a book to do it, and that's the second point. Don't write a novel. You want to leave blanks, you don't want to write too much, you want to leave plenty open. Another example is I made a character for my friend Walking Viruses game. His name is Vranik. He's a Dragonborn cleric. And I left 2 key things out. One, I did not specify his extended family at all. I said he has a mom and a dad. Grew up in a village Dragonborn. So clearly he probably has extended family. I also left out, with my GM's permission, that he doesn't know who his god is. He has divine power. He clearly is a cleric. He knows what the holy symbol is because he got a vision of it, but he has no idea who it was at the start of the game. This enabled my GM, because I left these blanks in my backstory, to hook me into the story. My god became a god of the region that we've traveled to. That's where this god works out of. That's like his home region. So I became completely connected into this whole story that he's been telling. And because I never defined my extended family, one of the NPCs, one of the key NPCs we ran into, is now my cousin, who's also a Dragonborn, obviously. It's pretty funny. So all of a sudden, my character, who had maybe 3 paragraphs of stuff written about him, like, again, where he came from, how he got to where he is now, etc., suddenly is deeply connected into the world because I left openings for my DM. So again, with like the Yanti, I was part of the military, so my DM now can sit down and say, well, you know these 4 people from your time in the military. I now have contacts. He can create contacts, or he can ask me to create contacts. You know, I was a captain in the cavalry unit, so there were subordinates who listened to me. You know, maybe I can call on that. You know, we're playing in Planescape, so I wrote my backstory that I remember how to get back to Faerun from Sigil. I know the door because I came through willingly. So now I can justify to my DM, say, hey, I know how to get back to Faerun, let's go over there! Because that's how I wrote my backstory. My GM has knowledge of what my character can do, and I do, but there's tons of openings. Like, what happened while I was traveling with the druid? I don't know. He can make something up if he wants, put something in there. Or I can make something up later. You know, our characters in this adventure are going to be level 3. So from level 1 to level 3, we actually decided that we teamed up as a group from level 1 to level 3 and worked together for those 3 levels. That's how we're a cohesive unit now. And because of that, we have a shared backstory as a team that we can reference on the fly. You make up shit like, man, this is just like the time we burned down that orphanage. Let's not repeat that. That was all Skipper's fault. Things like that. You want to leave blanks. You don't want to write a book. As a side note for writing the book, I, as a GM, will never read it. Give me 1 page, maximum, for a backstory, I'm good. Gives me a sense of who you are, your place in the world, how you got there, and gives me a couple of character hooks. If you write more than that, I'm probably not going to read it. Most of us don't have time to do that. We're trying to organize 4 to 6 people, in general, all of their backstories, connect them into the world. We need to do this. We don't have time to read, a 10-page document. It's not going to fly. So if you want to make your character's backstory, make it simple, make it sweet, leave lots of openings for your DM or yourself later on down the road to add things in, and, define how you got to where you are, how you got the job you're doing, and where you came from. And that's pretty much it. You don't need to overthink it, is what I'm basically saying at the end of the day. As always, guys, thank you so very much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment box below. If you like what I'm doing, hit that like button and feel free to subscribe for more videos. If you don't like what I'm doing, hit the dislike button and tell me what the hell's wrong. Feel free to support me on Patreon if you're so inclined. And as always, thanks for watching, and remember, stay nerdy!